all you action figure enthusiasts out there, JC here with another T&I toy review. And today's review is in association with MarvelousNews.com, your #1 news source for everything Marvel. And for today's review, I'm going to be taking a look at another set of figures in Hasbro's new Marvel Studios The First 10 Years Anniversary Marvel Legends line. These are 6-inch figures and they celebrate 10 years of Marvel movies. Now this set is based on the Captain America Civil War movie. All the figures in this subline come in special packaging with the black box and the red highlights. Up at the top you've got the Marvel Studios The First 10 Years logo and the Legend Series logo. The figures are clearly displayed. We've got Captain America on one side and Crossbones on the other. Then down below you've got a little symbol for Captain America's shield, and you've got the Captain America Civil War movie logo. On one side of the packaging you've got that collage of images, this time from the Civil War movie, and when you get all the figures in this line you can put the packaging together and it forms one big giant image, which is kind of cool. And then on the other side of the packaging you get a bio for the Civil War movie, which was released in 2016. On the back of the packaging with this one you've got bios for both Captain America and Crossbones, as well as a look at the movie poster from Civil War. Also, it tells us this is set number 9 in the series. Alright, let's get these open and take a look at what's inside. Okay, so here's a look at the figures outside the packaging along with the other contents. Now, before I delve into this review, I first just want to say happy 4th of July to everybody. If you live here in the United States, today is the 4th. I hope all of you have a happy and safe one. And I figured, you know, with today being the 4th, what better figure could you review than a Captain America one, which is why I chose to do this set today. Starting off with the accessories for Captain America, he comes with his shield, and we've seen this before. In fact, we've seen this entire figure before. It is essentially just a reissue of the previous Captain America Civil War figure. So you've got the silver on the back side with the straps. I don't know why they don't do the clip like we see with the peg, like we see on the comic book versions. They always do these straps, which I don't like as much. But the straps are done with a fairly, you know, it's a hard kind of vinyl material, but they are a little bit flexible. You've got the one ring that's a little bit wider than the other. You basically slip the arm through this wider end and then have them kind of grip onto the fist. And then on the other side you've got that dark red and the metallic silver, and then you've got red again, and then the metallic blue, and then you've got the star in the middle, and you've got that line work on the star like we see with the movie version of his shield. Now, like I said, in order to get him to hold the shield, what you want to do is take that wider loop and string it through his arm until the smaller loop gets to his fist, and then it should stay on there pretty good. You know, you don't have to worry about him dropping it or anything. My complaint with these movie shields that Hasbro does is there's no way to put it on his back, unfortunately. These straps are not big enough to fit around his shoulders or anything, and you know, there's no hole on the back and there's no peg on the shield. So, and they didn't do a magnet or anything like that like you see with the import figures. So even though it's kind of an important aspect of Captain America for him to be able to carry his shield on his back, you can't do it with these movie ones. You know, we've seen it many times with these different Captain America movie figures, so it's nothing really new, but definitely I wish they would kind of fix that for future releases. Okay, and then finally you get 2 different head sculpts with this figure, and surprisingly enough, both head sculpts are actually new. We knew the unmasked head sculpt was going to be an updated version because it actually looks like Chris Evans, unlike the previous unmasked head sculpts that Hasbro's done. But this masked head sculpt is actually a new one as well. It's not the same one that we got on the previous Captain America Civil War figure. So let me put that one next to this one, and you can see right off the bat this new head sculpt is bigger, and I think it actually looks a little more like Chris Evans than this previous one as well, even though he is wearing the mask. The coloring, the paint is a little bit different, but other minor details between the two. You can see here that like the little wings on the side, you get the double wings on this new one, where you only had the single one on that old one. And then on the back here, you can actually you can see his hair is kind of sticking out on the bottom of the new one, where you did not have that on the previous one. So I think it's kind of cool that they actually took the time and gave us a new updated masked head sculpt as well as the unmasked. But again, it is really the unmasked head sculpt that makes this figure probably worth getting. Unlike the previous ones that we've gotten, this one actually does look like Chris Evans. I won't say it looks 100% like Chris Evans. It's not perfect, and maybe not even quite as good as the one I saw on display display at Toy Fair back in February, but you can definitely tell it's supposed to be Chris Evans. I like the hair. You've got the dark brown with the blonde highlights, and then the skin tone is decent. You've got the blue eyes and everything. I do have a little bit of a smudge on his forehead here, but otherwise I think this is a pretty solid representation for Captain America and Chris Evans. Switching out the heads is easy. Just pop off the head you want to replace, and it attaches with a ball hinge joint, and then you just pop on the one you want to replace it with, and it should snap on there pretty easy. That ball joint might move on you a little bit, but if you push hard enough, you should be able to get it to pop in. And it does fit nice and tight. And you can see here with the new unmasked head, I think it fits good on this body. It doesn't look too big or anything. Okay, and then for the Crossbones figure, he also comes with 2 different head sculpts. So with him, you get a helmeted head, and then you get one without the helmet. And with the one without the helmet, you've got the deformed face after he suffered the accident in Winter Soldier. So I think they've done a pretty good job with that. And I like the helmeted head actually better than the unmasked one. I like how you can make out his eyes through the slits, and you can even make out some of the detail of his skin and everything. So I like that. He's got the white on the front there to make it, you know, to be like the skull for Crossbones, and then you've got some nice sculpting detail on the side for the helmet and everything, even on the back. So I like that. The unmasked one, you know, I think they've done a pretty good job. You know, he's got all the scars and everything, again, that he got from the accident that he had at the Shield building in Winter Soldier. I like the sculpting of the hair. I won't say it looks 100% like the actor. I think the unmasked Chris Evans head is the better of the two, but I think they do a decent job here with him. Okay, now for the figures themselves, starting with Captain America, and I'm not going to focus a lot on this one because unlike the masked head, the figure itself is just a reissue of the previous Civil War version that we got. So there's really no differences other than maybe some minor differences with the tone of the paint, but the sculpting and everything is exactly the same. And overall, you know, I think it's a decent representation of the outfit. Now, if I remember correctly, they forgot to remove the A's on this version. I believe that he had the A's in Age of Ultron, but then didn't have it in Civil War, if I remember correctly, but they left it on the Hasbro figure. But otherwise, you know, sculpting detail, he's got the star on his chest, which is sculpted on there, and you've got the black around that, and you've got the red, white here on this midsection, and he's got these straps for his shield, and the metal piece here, which is where the shield would attach with the magnet. Unfortunately, Hasbro didn't include that feature. And then you've got the belt, which is a separate piece, so you want to make sure you kind of push it down on the figure. And then you've got those same legs as before with that kind of sculpting detail on the legs there. And then you've got, again, the same boots and everything like we saw before. So the figure itself is really no different than what we've previously got. Okay, and then for the Crossbones figure, now this is the first time that we've ever gotten Crossbones in 6-inch action figure form, and I think Hasbro's done a pretty good job here. This is probably the main reason why people are going to buy this set, so they can get Crossbones. I do like the masked or the helmeted head better on the figure than the unmasked head. I like the detailing like I mentioned before, and then you've got the detailing on his chest here. Again, he's got the white painted on there to be like the Crossbones, and he's got like things like some magazines here on his one arm. Those are not removable. He's got some shells on this side, again not removable. He's got this chest piece, which you can actually remove this, but he's just got a solid black shirt underneath, so not a lot of detail underneath. It just kind of unhooks here in the back, but there's really not much need to take it off there. I like the detailing on the back here with the armor plating. I think that looks good. And then on the underside here with the leather, all that I think looks pretty good. And again, you got pouches and stuff sculpted on here, so nice detailing with that. He's got the camo pants, the dark camo that he's wearing, and then he's got the long boots, the metal boots that come up to his knees, which I think looks good. They've done a good job with that. Looks like actual metal or armor. He's got this gun on his right leg, which is not removable, unfortunately. It's got the holster and everything, but you can't actually remove that gun. So overall, you know, a lot of nice detail. Would have been nice if maybe they made some of this stuff like the gun and such removable. And then he's got the weird things that he used as a weapon, and these you can actually remove, which is nice. I'm glad they made it so you could remove these. At first I thought they were not removable, but they are. And you've got the metallic silver. These are the, I don't know what you want to call these, something they made up for the movie. It's not something you ever saw him use in the comics, but basically, you know, he uses it to punch things. And so you've got the black and the metallic silver and everything, so pretty nice detailing there. If you ever want to make a custom Shocker figure from Spider-Man Homecoming, these would probably come in handy for that. and then underneath there you've just got the black sleeves and everything, so they just slide over the arms. So again, I am glad that they made those removable. It would have been nice if they had made that so these could kind of extend out in some way, so you could kind of mimic the movement from the movie, but as it is, you know, they're static and they're basically just made with a rubber type material. Okay, now these figures stand, the Crossbone figures, which is the shorter of the two, stands just a little bit under 6.5 inches tall, and Cap here stands right about at 6.5 inches tall. I don't remember in the movie if Crossbones was shorter, but overall I would say the scale seems to be pretty accurate. Okay, now I really don't have anything that comes to mind to compare the Crossbones figure with, but here is a comparison with all the movie Captain America figures. Now I don't have currently, at the time of this shooting, the Captain America figure from the first Avenger movie. I will add a picture with that one in the image gallery, but I just don't have it in hand this very second. But I do have the first Avengers movie Captain America, and then we've got the Winter Soldier Captain America figure, and you'll notice that I have the new Chris Evans head on that one currently. It will fit on any of these figures, so if you want to use that unmasked head on one of your others like the Winter Soldier one, it will work. Then I've got the Age of Ultron Captain America, then I have the brand new Civil War Captain America, and then finally the Infinity War Captain America. Okay, now for articulation, starting with Captain America, you can turn the head to the left and to the right, and he can look down pretty good, and he can look up about that much. You don't really get a whole lot of head pivot with this one. Arms attached with your standard ball hinge joint there at the shoulder, so you can get his arm out good, has good rotation, has a bicep swivel, has a double hinged elbow, so good bending there, has rotation at the hands and hinges on the wrist, so you get up and down movement there. You've got a midsection joint, so he can crunch forward about that much, and then he can look back about that much. You get some clicky noise there. He's got a waist swivel. With the legs, he can only do the splits about that much, and then you can get the leg forward good, and you can do the leg out and back. He's got a thigh swivel. He's got a double jointed knee, so good bending there at the knee. He's got a boot cuff swivel. He's got hinges on the feet, so up and down movement. He does have ankle pivot and 2 peg holes on the bottom of the feet. Okay, now with Crossbones, he can turn his head to the left and to the right. It's on a ball hinge joint. He can look down pretty good, and you can have him look up about that much. Again, he does not really have a whole lot of head pivot. With the arms, you can get the arm out about that much, and then you've got rotation there at the shoulder. He's got a bicep swivel. He's got a double hinged elbow, and even with those wrist things on, you can still bend the elbow pretty good. You've got rotation there with the hands, and you have hinges on the hands as well, but unless you take those things off, you can't really move that. And then you've got a midsection joint underneath this thing, underneath this armor piece. So you've got rotation, but you really can't crunch forward much. You probably get a little more movement if you take this thing off, but then the figure would look kind of funny, and you really can't look back very much. So really you just get waist swivel with this one. And then with the legs, he can do the splits about that much. You can get the leg forward good, and you can do the leg out and back. He's got a thigh swivel. He's got a double jointed knee, so good bending there at the knee. And then with his feet, you've got up and down movement, and of course you do have ankle pivot and 2 peg holes on the bottom of it. That's my review. So overall I would say, as far as the Captain America figure goes, it is primarily just a reissue. The head sculpts are different, and the unmasked head sculpt is definitely far superior than anything else we've seen from Hasbro for Chris Evans. It actually does look like the actor, which I'm really happy with. So even though the figure itself is pretty much a reissue, it almost is worth getting just to get that unmasked Chris Evans head. But the main reason why most of you are probably going to want this set is for the Crossbones figure. It is the first time that we're getting Crossbones in 6-inch action figure form, and I think overall Hasbro's done a nice job with it. I like the helmeted head better than the unmasked one. I think it looks better on the figure, but I am glad that they included both head sculpts. I like that you can remove the wrist gauntlets from the figure, and the overall detailing with the weapons and everything are pretty nice. It would have been nice if they'd made some of those weapons removable on the figure, but still, for the most part, I think they've captured the likeness of the character quite nicely. Now this set, along with the other Marvel Cinematic Universe figures, will officially be released here in the United States on August 1st. We could start seeing them a little bit early, but again, the official release date is August 1st. These figures have started to see release overseas, and places like Robot Kingdom is shipping this set out now. We'll have a full image gallery up at marvelousnews.com. There'll be a link in the video description below. As always, leave a comment. Let me know what you think. If you're so inclined, please like the video. And if you haven't already, please subscribe by hitting that button down below. I'd really appreciate it. You should also hit that bell notification so you're alerted every time I upload a new video. You can also follow me on my Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Twitch accounts. I have links to those in the video description as well. Have a happy 4th of July, and until next time, guys, I'll catch you later.